Ayakashi Samurai Horror Tales is an 11-episode long anime series containing 3 short stories based within Japanese mythology, and when I started watching this, I had no idea of what to expect. I was wanting something that would scare me. It's really hard for me to be scared about anything because that's just how I am with things, even with regular movies or with anything in the real world. I'm just not that easily scared, so I was looking for something that just might do the trick, but with this, I didn't really find that it was that scary in general, but what I found from this was 3 interesting stories with also a really nice art style with a bit of a asterisk there. This was created in 2006, and when watching this, you're gonna think that, okay, this looks pretty bad, it looks pretty old, but from me, when I was watching this, the way that they used the colors and the way that things were designed, it really reminded me of the art style of old Japanese paintings. It wasn't necessarily trying to create this beautiful, realistic-looking product. It was basically, which I'm pretty sure it had a low budget as well, just from looking at this, but it was trying to recreate the art style of old Japanese paintings. So these 3 stories go in no particular order. As long as you watch these episodes in the order that you need to within each of the short stories, then you're fine, but it doesn't really matter which short story you watch first. But the one that I watched first was one where there was a haunted castle out in the middle of Japan, and it was inhabited by these forgotten gods, and there was a samurai who falls in love with one of the forgotten gods, and it's a bit of a love triangle thing because he is also married as well, so you see him right on the fence here, right in the middle of this war between the forgotten gods and also his people as well, and you really see him having to make some decisions here, and it was a pretty interesting story. It wasn't really scary at all, but I just found the story interesting. So for the second story, which is easily my favorite of the 3, which also involves another love triangle, this is kind of based around the history around the 47 Ronin, but also another myth as well. And I actually looked this up. This one has a live-action movie about the story that's being told here. I'm not sure about how close it is to this, to the short story here, but there's also books about it as well, which is pretty interesting. But here we have the son of one of the samurai who served with Lord Asano, who was the lord who was sentenced to kill himself with starting the events of the 47 Ronin. But here we have the son of one of the samurai, and he's married, and he is tricked into accidentally poisoning his wife, and then he was given this proposition to marry another woman into a larger family which has more money, and then it would really help out him in his career. So he decides to do that, and his wife, one way or another, she dies and leaves a curse for him, and this story is him battling that curse, and also the curse affects other people as well. It was easily the spookiest and creepiest of all 3 within Ayakashi, but by no means was I scared by it or anything. I just really liked what was happening with the curse. A lot of creepy things would happen, like there would be rats coming out of everywhere just eating people, and then you would see characters envisioning other characters to be the ghosts. So it's really cool to watch the second one. I really enjoyed all 3 of the stories, but the second one, like I said, was my favorite. So moving on to the third story, here we have a medicine peddler who is easily the most interesting main character out of all of these short stories. He walks into this castle, and he also is an expert at exorcising ghosts and demons and things like that. So he's in the middle of this giant castle, and he learns that there is an evil spirit about, and everyone in the middle of this castle is just trapped there because the evil spirit takes over everything around it. And this is really cool because he's putting up all these talismans and placing down all these barriers. He's lining all the rooms in salt and placing down all of these trinkets so that he can tell where the evil spirit is at all times. And here he is. He has this sword. It's this magical, like, ghost sword, if you will, that he can't unsheath it until 3 conditions are met. One of the conditions, which is the most important one that we see here, is that he has to learn the story of the evil spirit which is haunting the place. So he's learning about that, and it's also a pretty decent story behind the evil spirit as well, and I really liked it. But here, with this third story, it's kind of intense. I would have to say that this is probably the most intense out of all of them, just because here we see he's placing up all of these talismans, and you see that people inside the inside of all these talismans, inside the barrier that he places, they're getting possessed, and it's really interesting because you'll see all these talismans slowly start to fail, and you could see the demon, or the evil spirit, if you will, coming through, getting ready to attack everybody, and he's trying his hardest to hold them back as he's trying to uncover, you know, the secrets of the evil spirit so that he can unsheath the sword and finally kill it. So I did enjoy all three of these stories, but each story does something that the other stories don't do as well. With the first story, this is easily the most action-packed, with the haunted castle inhabited by the forgotten gods and the love triangle. This was easily the most action-packed. With the second story and the curse of the wife, this one easily had the best story out of all three. I really enjoyed the story that was being told here, and also with the third story, this one actually looks the worst out of everything. However, having said that, I would have to say that it is easily the most artistic. I feel that this was kind of held back by the budget here, but with the third story, they really changed up the art style, and from what I read, I think that this was the one that was made first. I could be wrong here, but the third story, it doesn't really look all that good, but I feel that it's closer to the painting art style like I mentioned before, and easily this one is the most artistic because you'll see a lot of vibrant colors here. And of course, in the third story, when he can finally unsheath his sword and start to attack this evil spirit, everything starts to change, and I feel that it's really beautiful. I would love to watch this on Blu Ray if it was out at an affordable price. Even on DVD, this is kind of expensive just because it's out of print. So Ayakashi Samurai Ghost Tales, with the overall presentation of this was created in 2006, and with the animation here, I really did not expect this to have been made in 2006. I felt that it might have been made in like late 1999 or sometime in the 90s, because it just didn't look all that great. But I feel that that's just because the particular type of art style that they were going for, and also the budget as well. But still, having said that, I did enjoy the art to it. So moving on to the sound here, I really like the opening of this. I like the opening and also a lot of the background music here. We hear a lot of traditional music as well. So moving on to the voiceovers here, I did watch this in English dub, and it was passable. I would recommend you to watch this in either sub or dub. I'm sure that the subtitle with the Japanese audio is a lot better, but from watching this with the English dub, it was alright. So Ayakashi Samurai Horror Tales, while I did not get what I expected to get out of this with a whole really creepy horror story here, I did come out with an appreciation of three individual unique stories that I really did enjoy. I recommend everybody to check this out, and also, if you've seen Ayakashi Samurai Horror Stories, then let me know your thoughts about them in the comments section below. Which is your favorite story of the three? Like I said, my favorite was the second one with the love triangle and the curse of the wife. And also, let me know in the comments section below, which are your favorite horror anime series or horror anime movies. Thank you all for watching, and have a happy Halloween.